June 30th, 2002. Lisa Marie Young, a 21-year-old Klu-o-Kwi-at First Nations woman, left a house party in Nanaimo with a man she'd just met, driving a burgundy Jaguar. She sent her friend a text that her phone wasn't working and then vanished into thin air. The man was identified, questioned, and never charged. Over 2 decades later, Lisa's case remains unsolved, but her family has taken the fight for justice all the way to Parliament Hill. Welcome back, Caffeine Case Filers, or if you're new here, welcome to Dark Roast Caffeine Case Files. I'm your host, Kate. And today we're going to Nanaimo, British Columbia, a beautiful city on Vancouver Island, known for its harbor, its parks, and a cold case that has haunted the community for over 2 decades. It was Canada Day weekend, 2002. A 21-year-old woman named Lisa Marie Young was celebrating her friend's birthday, moving from a nightclub to a house party to a second house party. She was having a good time. She was laughing, dancing, living. And then she met a man who offered her a ride. The man was driving a burgundy Red Jaguar, an older model, distinctive, impossible to miss. He introduced himself as Chris. He seemed charming. He offered to take Lisa to get some food. She got into the car. A few hours later, Lisa's friend received a text, quote, "My phone is not working," unquote. That was the last anyone ever heard from Lisa Marie Young. The man in the Jaguar was identified as Christopher William Adair. He was questioned by police. He was never charged. And over 2 decades later, Lisa's case remains unsolved, even though the RCMP has repeatedly said they believe she was met with foul play. The Red Jaguar disappeared from Nanaimo. So did Christopher Adair. And Lisa Marie Young has never been seen again. Her family has not given up. Every year, they hold a memorial walk through the streets of Nanaimo, carrying signs with Lisa's face, refusing to let her case go cold. They have taken their fight to the House of Commons, to the MMIWG National Inquiry, to every government agency that will listen. And still, after 23 years, there are no answers. This is the story of a woman who vanished into the night, a car that was never searched, a suspect who fled the country, and a family that refuses to forget. Before we go any further, content warning. This episode discusses the disappearance and suspected murder of an Indigenous woman. It contains descriptions of police negligence, systemic racism, and the emotional toll of a 23-year-old case. There are no graphic descriptions of violence in this episode, but the subject matter is still deeply distressing. Listener discretion is advised. Also, I need to say this up front. Lisa Marie Young's case has never been solved. There's no satisfying resolution. The only closure in this story is the closure of remembering, of saying her name out loud, over and over, until the world can't forget. So pour your coffee, settle in, and let's get started. To understand this case, you have to understand who Lisa Marie Young was before she vanished. Lisa was born on May 5th, 1981, in Nanaimo, British Columbia. She was Klu-o-Kwi-at First Nation, part of the New-cha-Nulth peoples, whose traditional territory spans the west coast of Vancouver Island. She was the daughter of Don and Joanne Young, and she was, by all accounts, a vibrant young woman on the cusp of adulthood. She was 21 years old at the time of her disappearance, young, beautiful, full of life. She had long dark hair and a smile that lit up a room. She loved music, she loved dancing, she loved spending time with her friends. Her friend Cindy Hall, who has spent years searching for Lisa, described her as a beautiful soul inside and out. She was so full of life, so happy, so excited about her future. She had so much to live for. On the night of June 29th, 2002, Lisa was doing exactly what any 21-year-old would do on a long weekend. She was celebrating her friend Dallas's birthday. She had no idea that she was about to vanish into thin air. Let's reconstruct the evening. The timeline is drawn from witness statements and police reports, though many of those reports are frustratingly incomplete. June 29, 2002. Lisa Marie Young and her friends started the evening at a nightclub in downtown Nanaimo. They danced, they drank, they celebrated Dallas's birthday. It was a happy night, the kind of night you remember for the rest of your life, but for all the wrong reasons. At some point, the group moved to a house party, then to a second house party in the Cathars Lake area of Nanaimo. It was the second party that Lisa met a man. He was introduced as Chris. He was driving a distinctive car, a burgundy red older model Jaguar. He was charming, charismatic, and he offered to take Lisa to get some food. She was hungry. She accepted. Lisa's friend Dallas watched her get into the Red Jaguar. It was around 4 a.m. on June 30th, 2002. The sky was just beginning to lighten. That was the last time anyone saw Lisa Marie Young alive. A few hours later, Lisa sent a message to a friend. It was short, just 4 words. "My phone is not working." And then nothing. Radio silence. Lisa's phone went dark, and she disappeared from the face of the earth. The man in the Red Jaguar was quickly identified. His name was Christopher William Adair. He was 27 years old at the time. A Nanaimo local known to some, but not widely known. The RCMP interviewed Adair early in the investigation. He told them that he had taken Lisa to get some food and that he had dropped her off at a location of her choosing. He could not or would not say exactly where. He offered no further details. He was not arrested. He was not charged. He was released. Over the years, the RCMP has classified Christopher Adair as a person of interest in Lisa's disappearance, but they have never had enough evidence to charge him with a crime. In the years following Lisa's disappearance, Adair left Canada. He has reportedly lived in Turkey, the Philippines, and other countries, where he runs an immigration consulting firm. He has refused to speak to police again. He has never been extradited, and he has never faced justice for whatever happened to Lisa Marie Young on the night of June 30th, 2002. Nanaimo RCMP believe Lisa met with foul play. They have classified her disappearance as a homicide, even though her body has never been found. But without a body, without physical evidence, without a confession, the case remains cold. When Lisa didn't come home on June 30th, 2002, her family knew something was wrong. Lisa was not the kind of person to disappear without telling anyone. She was close to her family. She was responsible. She would never have just vanished. Her parents, Don and Joanne Young, began calling hospitals, police stations, friends' houses, anywhere Lisa might have been. No one had seen her. No one had heard from her. They called the RCMP, and here, as in so many MMIWG cases, the police response was tragically inadequate. The RCMP initially treated Lisa's disappearance as a voluntary missing person case. They told the family that Lisa had probably just run off with the guy she had met at the party, that she would come back when she was ready, that there was no need to panic. This is the same dismissive response that we have seen in episode after episode of this series. From Rosalie Newgrass in 1889 to Ramona Wilson in 1994. Indigenous families report their daughters missing, and the police shrug. They assume the worst of the victim rather than the worst of the predator. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Lisa did not come home, and by the time the police finally began to take the case seriously, critical evidence had already been lost. The RCMP investigation was, by all accounts, slow and incomplete. Investigators did interview Christopher Adair. They did seize his Red Jaguar at one point, though the timeline of when that happened is unclear. And some sources suggest the car was not seized until weeks after Lisa's disappearance, by which point any physical evidence would have been compromised. Adair was released without charges. He has never been arrested in connection with Lisa's case. The RCMP has also interviewed other witnesses. People who were at the parties that night. People who may have seen the Red Jaguar driving away. People who may have heard something. But those interviews have never led to a breakthrough. In 2009, 7 years after Lisa's disappearance, the RCMP released a composite sketch of the man they believed was responsible. It looked like Christopher Adair, but they didn't name him publicly. The case remained cold. In 2021, 19 years after Lisa vanished, the RCMP held a news conference to announce that more witnesses have come forward and that the investigation was still active. but they offered no specific details, no arrests have been made, and Christopher Adair has not been extradited to Canada for questioning. A friend of Lisa's, Cindy Hall, has spent years conducting her own investigation. She has combed through public records, interviewed witnesses, and tracked Adair's movements online. In 2025, 23 years after Lisa's disappearance, she was still searching. Quote, "There is no excuse, no explanation, no way to accept what happened," end quote, said Nanaimo Mayor Leonard Krog at a memorial walk in 2024. He was speaking for the entire community, a community that has never stopped asking, what happened to Lisa Marie Young? Let's talk about the text message, because it is one of the few pieces of evidence that gives us a glimpse into Lisa's final moments. The message was sent to a friend, not Dallas, but someone else in Lisa's circle. It was short. "My phone is not working." Why would Lisa send that message? Was she trying to call for help? Was she telling her friend that she couldn't reach anyone because her phone was malfunctioning? Or was she sending a coded message? Something that would tell her friend that she was in danger without alerting the person who was with her? We'll never know. What we do know is that after that text, Lisa's phone went dead. It was never turned on again. It has never been located, and the contents of any other messages she may have sent or received have never been made public. The friend who received the text has spoken to police, but has not spoken publicly about what the message meant. That silence has fueled speculation for over 2 decades. Was Lisa in the car with Adair when she sent the text? Was she already in danger? Or was she simply letting her friend know that she couldn't respond because of a technical issue? These questions have no answers. Now let's talk about Christopher William Adair, the man in the Red Jaguar. Adair was 27 years old in 2002. He was a Nanaimo local, known to some as a smooth talker and a partygoer. He was not married. He did not have children. He lived a relatively low-profile life. But in the years following Lisa's disappearance, Adair's life changed dramatically. He left Canada, he moved to Turkey, then to the Philippines, and possibly elsewhere. He reportedly started an immigration consulting firm, helping people navigate the complex process of relocating to other countries. The irony is not lost on anyone. A man who left Canada to avoid questioning is now helping other people leave their homes as well. Adair has been contacted by police multiple times. Early in the investigation, he cooperated, at least to the extent of giving a statement. But as the years passed, he became less responsive. He has refused to return to Canada for further questioning. He has never been charged with any crime related to Lisa's disappearance. The RCMP has said that Adair remains a person of interest, but without enough evidence to lay charges and without the ability to compel him to return to Canada, the case remains stalled. Some critics have asked why Adair was not arrested when the investigation was fresh, why the Red Jaguar was not immediately seized and forensically searched, why witnesses were not interviewed more thoroughly. These are good questions. Questions that Lisa's family has been asking for over 2 decades. But the answers are not comforting. They point to the same systemic failures we have seen throughout this series. A slow police response, a dismissive attitude towards Indigenous victims, and a legal system that often fails the very people it was supposed to protect. Every year since 2003, the year after Lisa vanished, her family and friends have held a memorial walk through the streets of Nanaimo. They gather at a park or a community center. They carry signs with Lisa's face, her dark hair, her bright smile. They walk in silence, or with drums, or with psalms. They walk because walking is all they can do. The walk takes them past places Lisa loved. The nightclub where she danced, the neighborhoods where she lived, the streets where she walked, and it takes them past the places she was last seen. The house party where she met Christopher Adair, the intersection where she climbed into the Red Jaguar. The annual walk is a reminder that Lisa is not forgotten. It is a reminder that her family has not given up. And it is a demand for justice. A demand that the RCMP do more, that the government do more, that all of us do more to find out what happened to Lisa Marie Young. Cindy Hall, Lisa's friend, has been organizing these walks for years. Quote, "We need answers," she said. Every year we walk for Lisa. Every year we hope that someone will come forward. And every year we're still waiting, unquote. In 2025, 23 years after Lisa's disappearance, dozens of people still showed up to walk. They carried signs that said "Justice for Lisa" and "Bring Lisa home." They wore red, the color of the jaguar that took her away, and they refused to let her case become just another cold file on a forgotten shelf. Lisa Marie Young's name appears in the MMIWG National Inquiry's final report. Not by name, but by implication. She is just one of the thousands of Indigenous women and girls who have gone missing or been murdered in Canada over the past several decades. Her family has testified at hearings. They have shared their story with the commissioners. They have described the police negligence, the dismissive attitudes, the years of waiting for answers that never came. In 2023, Lisa's case was brought to the House of Commons. A petition was introduced calling on the government to take action on missing and murdered Indigenous women, to provide more funding for investigations, to create a national alert system, and to ensure that cases like Lisa's are never allowed to go cold. The petition was signed by thousands of people. It was presented to Parliament, and then, like so many initiatives, it seemed to stall. The government has made some progress, however. There are new policies, new programs, new funding for MMIWG initiatives. But the pace of the change but the pace of change is slow. Too slow for Lisa's family, who have been waiting for 23 years. Too slow for the hundreds of other families who are still waiting for answers. In recent years, the RCMP has made some efforts to revive the investigation into Lisa Marie Young's disappearance. In 2021, they held a news conference to announce that more witnesses have come forward and that the case was still active. They released a new timeline of events. They asked anyone with information to come forward. In 2023, on the 21st anniversary of Lisa's disappearance, they reiterated that the case remains a priority for the Serious Crime Unit. Quote, "Our investigators continue to work on this file," said a spokesperson. Quote, "We have not given up," end quote. But critics point out that without a body, without physical evidence, and without a suspect who can be compelled to return to Canada, the investigation is effectively stalled. No new arrests have been made, no new information has been released to the public, and Christopher Adair has not been extradited. Lisa's family has also criticized the RCMP for not sharing more information with them. Quote, "We feel like we're in the dark," one family member said. "They tell us they're working on it, but they don't tell us what they're working on. We don't know if there are leads. We don't know if there are suspects. We don't know anything," unquote. This lack of transparency has fueled a deep distrust between Lisa's family and the police, a distrust that is shared by many Indigenous families across Canada. Lisa Marie Young's family has refused to let her case be forgotten. They have taken their fight from the streets of Nanaimo to the halls of power in Ottawa. In 2023, a petition was introduced to the House of Commons calling for renewed action on Lisa's case. The petition asked the government to reopen the investigation with fresh resources, compel Christopher Adair to return to Canada for questioning, provide better support for families of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and create a national alert system for missing Indigenous women similar to Amber Alerts. The petition garnered thousands of signatures. It was presented to Parliament, and it was referred to as the Standing Committee on Indigenous and Northern Affairs. The committee held hearings. They heard testimony from Lisa's family, from MMIWG advocates, from legal experts. They discussed the systemic failures that has allowed Lisa's case to go cold, and they made recommendations to the government. But as of this writing, none of those recommendations have been fully implemented. The petition is still pending. The government is still reviewing its options, and Lisa's family is still waiting. One of the key proposals to emerge from Lisa's case and from the broader MMIWG movement is the call for Philomena's Law. Named after Philomena, an Irish woman whose own tragedy inspired reform. The law would create a national alert system for missing Indigenous women, similar to Amber Alerts for missing children or Silver Alerts for missing seniors. The idea is simple. When an Indigenous woman goes missing under suspicious circumstances, an alert would be broadcast across multiple platforms: TV, radio, social media, highway signs, within hours, not days. This would increase the chances of finding the person before it's too late. The government has piloted such a system in some provinces, but it has not been implemented nationwide. Advocates say the pilot programs are underfunded and inconsistent. Other proposed reforms include mandatory independent review of all MMIWG cases that remain unsolved after 24 months, increased funding for Indigenous-led search and recovery teams, a national database of missing and murdered Indigenous women accessible to families and advocates, legal reforms to allow extradition of suspects in MMIWG cases, even if they have not yet been charged in Canada. These reforms are not radical. They are common sense measures that should have been implemented decades ago. But progress has been slow, and families like Lisa's are still waiting. Let's talk about Christopher Adair's current whereabouts. According to the most recent reports, Adair is living in the Philippines, where he runs an immigration consulting firm. He has not returned to Canada since leaving in the early 2000s. He has refused to speak with Canadian police, and he has never been extradited. Why hasn't Adair been extradited? The short answer is that extradition requires a formal charge, and the RCMP has not laid charges against Adair because they say they don't have enough evidence. Without charges, there is no basis for extradition. It's a catch-22. Could Canada compel Adair to return for questioning? Possibly, but it would require a formal request through diplomatic channels, and even then, Adair could refuse. He is a Canadian citizen, but he is not required to return to Canada unless he is formally charged with a crime. Some critics have called for the RCMP to lay charges against Adair based on the circumstantial evidence they do have. The fact that he was the last person seen with Lisa, that her body has never been found, that he fled the country. But the Crown has been reluctant to proceed without stronger evidence. So Adair remains at large, living overseas, running his business, perhaps believing that he has gotten away with something. And Lisa's family remains in limbo, waiting for justice that may never come. Let's bring Lisa back to life, just for a moment. She was 21 years old. She loved music. She loved dancing. She loved her family and her friends. She was Klu'o'Kwi'at First Nation, proud of her heritage, proud of who she was. She had her whole life ahead of her, a future that was stolen on a night in June in 2002 by a man driving a burgundy Red Jaguar. Her name is not just a case file. It is not just a missing persons report. And it is not just a poster on a telephone pole. Lisa Marie Young was a daughter, a friend, a young woman with dreams, and she deserved to live. Every year, her family walks through the streets of Nanaimo to remember her. They carry her photo, they wear red, they refuse to let her be forgotten. And they hope against hope that one day someone will come forward with the information that finally solves the case. If you have any information about the disappearance of Lisa Marie Young, please contact the Nanaimo RCMP at 250-754-2345. You can also contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-222-8477. If you want to learn more, read the book, Where is Lisa Marie Young? Watch the documentary, Highway of Tears. Though Lisa's case is not on the highway, the themes are the same. And read the MMIWG National Inquiry's final report, which includes dozens of recommendations that remain unimplemented. Support Indigenous-led organizations like the Native Women's Association of Canada, the Sisters in Spirit Initiative, and the Clue O Kwiat First Nations owned community support programs. And most importantly, talk about this case. Share Lisa's story. Keep her name alive. Ask your local MP what they are doing to address the MMIWG crisis. Push for the implementation of Philomena's Law. Demand better from the systems that failed Lisa and her family. If you or someone you know has been affected by violence against Indigenous women, the Hope for Wellness helpline is available 24/7 at 1-855-242-3310. This episode is dedicated to the memory of Lisa Marie Young and to her family who have walked for 23 years demanding answers. May they find peace, may they find justice, and may Lisa's name never be forgotten. Pour one out for Lisa. In next week's episode, I will be talking about the dark history of Aurelia's Huronia Regional Center. For over a century, Aurelia's Huronia Regional Center was billed as a safe haven for children with disabilities. In reality, it was a house of horrors, rife with beatings, SA, solitary confinement, and neglect. Thousands of residents were buried in unmarked numbered graves, their names erased. The institution finally closed in 2009. sparking a class action lawsuit that forced Canada to confront its shame. This is a story of the survivors, the forgotten, and a dark legacy that must not be buried again. As always, please take care of yourself after listening to this episode. Do something grounding. Call a friend, pet a dog, sit in the sunlight. The darkness in these stories is real, but so is the light in the world. Don't forget to find it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dark Roast Caffeine Case Files. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and listen to my episodes on your favorite podcast streaming service. And if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can also find me at buymeacoffee.com/darkroasttruecrime. Stay tuned for more coffee and more crime. Bye now.